Hey everyone, so I think we can all agree that suppressors are pretty dang cool, and with wait times seemingly as low as they have ever been, at least as of the time of the recording of this video, wouldn't it be really cool if you could just have one shipped straight to your door? Well, what if I told you you can now actually do that? So I've been working with Griffin Armament, who is also working with Capital Armory, to create a system that allows them to ship them straight to your door and still allow it to be 100% legal. So what we're going to do in this video is walk you through the process of actually ordering something from Griffin Armament's website, having them send the care package with all the stuff for fingerprinting, for your silencer and all the accoutrements that go along with that, and then going on into the next video when we actually receive, test, and review that silencer. So without any further ado, let's jump into it. So here we are on the Griffin Armament website. Obviously, as you can probably tell, context clues are a thing. We're going to go to the silencers to your door system here just to talk a little bit more about what this process is. So as I explained earlier, they are working with Capital Armory to facilitate this process. We're going to purchase the silencer here on the website. You're paying it in full, or you can even use Sezzle if that is your preferred method, if you aren't afraid of credit, I suppose. Then you will be contacted by Capital Armory to be able to figure out what you need to do to get your fingerprints and everything done. And then one of my favorite things is that Griffin Armament will actually send you kind of a welcome kit that, among other things, includes the muzzle device or accessories that come with your silencer. That I think is a pretty cool thing, and we'll touch more on that later. Along with a fingerprint kit, a swag pack, and then a lot of times a free shirt. So depending on what size you need and what is currently available. We're going to send off our fingerprints. We're going to set up a profile at Capital Armory. We will be emailed a digital Form 4 to fill out and then DocuSign, and then that is it. Once the processing time is actually taken care of, they will send us basically a 4473 to fill out remotely and then send it to us. They do also have this handy dandy map here that can show what states are eligible for this system. Unfortunately, the usual suspects, California, Illinois, New York, etc., are not eligible for this system. They even include where silencers can be used for hunting, which, at least as far as I can tell from this image, includes every single state that is eligible for this system. If you have any specific questions, you can feel free to reach out to Griffin Armament, or probably even better, Capital Armory, to discuss more about this. But again, this is 100% above board and something that they've been actually doing for quite a while now. So let's go ahead and actually pick out the silencer and go through the ordering process. So in my case, I know the silencer that I'm looking for is the Dual Lock 7. This is their 30 caliber silencer using their newer Dual Lock system. I'm a big fan of this mechanism. I got to actually experience it firsthand at SHOT Show, as you may have seen from that video. I really like this design, and let's talk a little bit more about why I like this thing. The other major benefits here are it's only 12.5 ounces, which is really not bad for a 7-inch 30 caliber silencer. According to their sound measurement ratings, we are dealing with some pretty impressive numbers: 139 decibels on a 16-inch 308, and even on an 11.5-inch 556, we're looking at 136 decibels. Pretty impressive numbers. For those of you not familiar, 140 is the OSHA level for single impact noises causing immediate hearing damage. One other nice thing about this thing is there are no barrel length restrictions. So all good things that I am looking for. I've been wanting to get a nice full size 30 caliber silencer. So let's go ahead and go through the order process. Thankfully, I want FDE, pick out my shirt size, and then also understand the acknowledgement here. Please read through all the fine print before going through this process. But I can tell you there's no gotchas from at least my non-legal reading of this. Now, it is worth mentioning at this point that Griffin Armament is providing me the silencer at no cost, so they're going to be comping me the price of the silencer and its tax stamp so that I can do the review of the silencer. So do with that information what you will. Either way, I still think this is a really cool system and is making silencer ownership far more accessible to the masses, which is only going to be a benefit for all of us. So you're going to fill this out just like you would from any online website that you're ordering from. This is not going to be anything new for you folks. So just go ahead and put in all your shipping information first. As always, you're going to have the option here if your billing address is the same as your shipping address, and then at least in this case, shipping is going to be free. Under the payment section, obviously you're going to want to go ahead and put in your credit card information, or you can select the Sezzle option if you prefer to go that way. And then as always, again, you're going to have to agree to terms and conditions and then place your order. So it's as simple as that. You're going to have a confirmation email in your inbox, and you're going to want to keep an eye on your email to verify when Capital Armory and therefore also Griffin Armament is reaching out to you to get further information to finish this process. But that's about it. At this point, now all we're waiting for too is the care package in the mail. So let's skip ahead to when that happens. So here we are not too much later, and I have a package that arrived in the mail, and this involves some other things, as you can see here, that I've already opened. At least at the time that I ordered this one, it was coming with a free shirt. It looks like those might be out of stock now, but I got this wonderful Griffin Armament shirt. But among the more important things that this comes with is also the muzzle device that is going to ordinarily ship with your can. Now, because they want you to be able to run this on whatever you're putting the can onto, while you're waiting, or at least have a gunsmith start pinning and welding, or whatever you need to do, you get that straight out of the gate, which I think is a really good call, especially because depending on how you file, the wait time could be a little bit extended. We have the ink that we're going to be using in conjunction with the fingerprint cards. Now, these are the official regular FBI fingerprint cards. And then really importantly, along with that, they give you instructions on how to fill it out. The way that the correct way to fill these out is not always intuitive, especially how they want you to format things like height and whatnot. So this is a very, very handy thing to include with it, and basically walks you through all the fundamentals. As far as the other important stuff we have in here, we have some alcohol wipes so you can clean your hands after you're done in case you're doing this in the field, and then some information about what the process looks like with Capital Armory from this point on, and then a pre-labeled envelope for you to be able to send this. Obviously, I'm showing you the non-addressed side so that you guys don't get any fun details about me. And then also importantly, that came with the shirt, some extra stickers, because if there's one thing I've learned from my wife, you can never have too many stickers. So basically, I'm going to go through the process of getting this all done. Now, realistically, I'm not going to show you all my fingerprints because I know some of you weirdos out there might be able to do something with that. I don't even know what yet, but the way technology is going, there's something you'd be able to do with that. But I will give you some tips and tricks for how to do it effectively and easily, as someone who has rolled fingerprints for myself several times. And when I was teaching the armed security and unarmed security classes here in Oregon, that was something we had to do with our students. So I've got a little bit of time under my belt rolling fingerprints. So let me give you some quick tips and tricks. I'll get this sent off, and then the wait begins. Although as it's looking right now, the wait time hasn't been too crazy. So we will find out. And it's also worth mentioning at this point, you are going to be doing the fingerprint cards in duplicate. And then, as I understand it, once Capital Armory receives it, they'll be able to scan that into their database to be able to use a digital fingerprint from that point on, so that if you do continue to do work through Griffin Armament and Capital Armory, you will not have to roll actual physical fingerprint cards again. So we'll go ahead, show you how that process goes, and then get this sent off, and then our wait begins, and then we will do another video once that can arrives and we've had enough time to actually review it. But I'll definitely let you guys know on social media when it arrives and what the wait time is actually going to be from when I send this to when I actually receive the ability to do my 4473 digitally and then receive it in the mail. So I apologize if due to the exposure this is a little bit too blown out, but I'm going to try to walk you through my little tips and tricks. First thing I recommend doing is doing all of your fingerprints first, because if you mess something up, that'll give you a chance to rectify that before you go through all the effort of filling in all of the written portion. The written portion is a lot easier to get right than the actual printed portion, and this does have to be done in ink, so do be careful with that. So what I generally recommend doing, since you are going to be doing this form in duplicate, is doing this both cards simultaneously. So I will usually start with the top row, working my way down. So if I'm starting with my right thumb, I'm going to roll my right thumb on here and then roll my right thumb on the other card. Now the process that I typically do to facilitate that is however I'm going to be rolling it onto the card is how I'm going to roll it in the ink pad. So if I want to start from edge of my thumb, finishing on the other edge of my thumb, that's how I'm actually going to roll it on that ink pad. And you want to try to make sure you stay within the box. So for some of you with your toe thumbs out there, you might have to maybe not do the full roll, but I want to try to get as much coverage as possible. And then the other thing, and this is something I saw a ton of people do when they were rolling their fingerprints at the gun store where I used to work. The thing that they're really looking for is where the little center swirly takes place. So what you don't want to be doing, and I'll do it this way, is having your finger angled steeply down, because then you're not going to get a good roll. Hopefully you guys can still hear me over the lawnmower. I've been trying to get this video done for a while, and we just got to force our way to the finish line. You don't want to go down at a steep angle like this. You want to try to keep it as flat as possible. So what I will typically do is have this on the edge of a table and then kind of fold down, try to figure out a way to demonstrate this, kind of fold down the base of the card so I can still have full freedom of movement and rotation with my hands. Again, that's going to make life a lot easier and make sure that you're getting the real critical part of that pad of each of your fingers. So again, I'm going to work from top to bottom, working across here. Please do pay attention to which area is for what, because if you get the order of your fingers wrong, that's going to be not good news there. When we get down to the bottom, I do it a little bit differently. So with all of these top 2 rows, you're going to be rolling each digit over that box. With the bottom ones, you're going to be pressing straight up and straight down. So what I'll typically do, since your left slap or right slap, basically the 4 fingers on each hand, you are going to, at least the way I would recommend doing it, individually ink each of your fingers, pushing down on the pad, and then push straight down onto the piece of paper and lift straight off. Same thing with the thumb. I like to get a little bit more coverage on my thumb and basically try to take up as much of that box as possible. Press straight down, lift straight back off. It's really that simple. Now, if you are missing any digits or have some other thing going on where you cannot actually physically roll your prints for this card, there are instructions on how to go about that. I believe it's on that sheet. If not, I'll make a note of it, but I'm fairly confident it's on there. It's just not something I've ever had to worry about. But then once you've done that, you do need to fill in the boxes up here. Not every single box needs to be filled out. Again, the instruction guide does tell you exactly what boxes to fill out and how to fill them out. Please do that correctly. This is the ATF we're talking about. They want to make sure that we do our due diligence on this end so we avoid any delays or complications later on in the process. And considering how long the wait can be and how much it can be to get into this process, you want to make sure you do it right the first time. So take your time. And again, if you need to, have some extra sheets on standby just in case you need some extras. So really, it's a pretty straightforward process. It really doesn't take a rocket scientist to do. There's plenty of videos online. Also, if you don't feel comfortable just doing it. But worst thing that happens if you do mess up, these fingerprint cards are super cheap. You can buy a pack of them on Amazon or request them for free from the federal government, which considering how much we pay in taxes, not really free. So you definitely have earned yours. It can just take some time to get those. But it's really that simple. So again, stay tuned on the channel and follow me on social media to get more updates about when this thing actually shows up.